I was raised in a church where they have all the doom and gloom theories, the end time, rapture, second coming, you know, which was, and most people will be shocked to hear what I'm going to say now, this whole idea of end time apocalypse, doom and gloom and end of the world and rapture stuff, that we have to escape from a devil that's too strong for us, you know. This has been introduced into the church in the 19th century by the Rothschilds. They financed the Scofield Study Bible, which was compiled based on the demonic doctrines of John Darby, who was basically, you know, Darby and Scofield were both part of several secret societies, secret, you know, organizations, and everything that's secret is in darkness. Understand that. Everything that needs to be kept secret and hidden is in darkness. It's truth is out into the light. So these men, they published this Scofield Study Bible, and the Rothschild family backed it up financially, and they sent, I don't know how many thousands or tens of thousands of copies of this Bible to pastors, evangelical pastors all around America, where they suddenly saw these hundreds of footnotes in this Bible that said, oh yeah, the Antichrist and the end times and blah, blah, blah. Before that, the church historically, for almost 2,000 years, always has had a victorious, royal mindset. We cast out darkness, we establish the kingdom of Christ. We stop slavery, we stop cannibalism, we stop abuse, we stop all the oppression. They brought the first schools, the first orphanages, the first caring for the poor. Science was born thanks to those Christians, you know, everything that's good in our world was established by these people. By people who had this mindset. The church had this mindset of we're going to cast out darkness and establish love and goodness. That's why you had these millions of missionaries going all over the world and stopping all these horrendous demon worship practices in every country of the world and teaching people to love one another. So never in history of the church was there this dominant mindset of doom and gloom, end time and end of the world. That was introduced by the Rothschild family, who financed this Scofield Study Bible that was spread all over America, and then from America this doctrine spread all through Europe and then all through the world. So we think that it's biblical to believe in a rapture, but this is a very weird idea that was introduced only 150 years ago. So I was raised in this whole doom and gloom doctrine that every pope is the Antichrist, every president of America is the Antichrist, every president of Russia is the Antichrist, everyone is the Antichrist, every disaster is the end of the world. You know, there's an earthquake, oh, sign of the times. There's a crisis there, oh, sign of the end times. It is so insane, so ridiculous. And it creates fear, tremendous fear, and it completely removes every vision to restore the world. On the contrary, it says we have to step aside and let darkness take over the world, because that's what Bible prophecy says. So it completely pushes aside the people of God and says, let the people of darkness take over the world. Because the sooner it happens, the sooner we can all get out of here and go to heaven. And so that is a strategic injection of poison into the church that completely tore down the authority of the people of God to reign in this earth, to restore the earth, and to drive out darkness, and like Jesus said, to reign with him, and to make all nations his disciples. And this may all sound very religious to some people, but it is just the reality of the realm of love and goodness that restores the earth and destroys the realm of darkness and evil. It is very simple reality. This has nothing to do with religion. So, I was raised in a church that indoctrinated me with this mindset, doom and gloom, darkness, and I was afraid to have children. Until one day, and here it is again, God spoke to me. And he said, David, I'm going to remove your doomsday mentality. I'm going to give you a message of hope. So I want you to study the end times. Start studying it in depth. I'm going to give you insight into this because I want to use you as well, because I am restoring my creation. Wow. Then for 15 years I studied it, and I discovered how the Bible has been strategically mistranslated in very critical keywords to inject this false doctrine into the very Word of God. This is crazy. I also saw that that the whole world has been terrorized for over a century by millions of false prophecies about this doom and gloom and end time and rapture, and none of it ever came to pass. The evangelical movement has become the #1 false prophet in the history of the world. Nobody releases so many entirely false prophecies as we do. This is crazy. It's absolutely horrendous. And then what I discovered is that the real message that Christ gave is that there's hope. And the earth is being restored. And He came to restore the beautiful people in this world. He came to set us free from darkness. He came to restore, who we are and why we are here and the purpose of this beautiful earth. And He came to change people on the inside so they can fulfill their destiny of being these royal divine people who are called to cast out evil and bring heaven to earth. And I discovered that the whole message of the Bible had been completely perverted to become the exact opposite of what it really is. Christ said, my kingdom is in your hearts, and it's going to expand like a tree, and it's going to cover the whole earth, and the whole world will be covered under my kingdom like a mountain that fills the earth. And what the church now says is, the realm of darkness is going to cover the earth, and that's going to rule everything. And it's the exact opposite. So this has been a major awakening in my life, where I realized this is how you take down the people of the Most High God. You literally tell them there's no hope. There's no use of trying to save this world because it's going down the drain anyway. That's Bible prophecy. And when people believe that lie, then they will indeed become the most ineffective and irrelevant people in the earth, because they think we have nothing to do here. All we need to do is just get some people in church and then wait to be raptured into heaven. And this is a very strategic injection of a toxic doctrine that has completely disarmed the army of the Most High. And I want to share that because this changed my life. And now I know there is a future of hope. There is a future of hope. If you look at history, then you see that in the past, 2,000 years ago, the whole world was filled with witchcraft, demon worship, child sacrifice, human sacrifice. In South America, these big pyramids from the Aztecs, they cut people's heart open while they were alive, and they took out a beating heart and they sacrificed that to their demon gods. All over the world, in where I'm from in Europe, you had these druids that demonized people so much that they were so full of demons that when a handful of those demonized wild men stood against the armies of Rome, they could defeat the armies of Rome. That's what, there was demon activity in a way that you and me, we have no idea about. We can't even imagine it. In Africa, you still have it. In Africa, you still have people who literally are vampires and all that kind of stuff, who literally have snakes growing in their belly. There are demonic realities in this world that in the Western world, we have become so blind and so dumb and so ignorant, and we think we know everything, while we have lost almost everything. We have lost the most basic understanding of the true realities in this world, while we sit in front of our TVs and only watch lies and deception and entertainment that dulls us down. And we think that we're smarter than everyone else. That is it's so deceiving. Guys, we gotta wake up. We really have to wake up from this. We have to become real again. But 2,000 years ago, the whole world, every culture, every single nation was ruled, was dominated by demon worship, by witches, sorcerers, by, every king had his sorcerers. Egypt is a famous example of that, but that was all over the world. There was human sacrifice in every culture. Their children were being eaten alive. That happened all over the place. There was no law. There was no justice. There was no caring for the poor. Literally, all of humanity used to be one huge, cruel hell. In Rome, the most civilized society that we know of, they watched people being eaten alive by wild animals in the circus, and that was their Saturday afternoon entertainment. When people were bad, they just struck nails through their hands and killed them on a cross while everybody was watching. In Europe, they tore people's limbs out of their body. They ripped their tongue off. They cut their head off. They stripped their skin off alive. This was earth. This was humanity. Until God stepped in. Until Jesus said, and now I'm going to change all this. And now I'm going to change you on the inside out. You're going to be born again. You're going to become a child of God. And you are going to cast out darkness. You will do what I do. Heal the sick and cast out demons. And you will transform the earth. And if you look at history, then for the past 2,000 years, the world has been changing dramatically. We are experiencing, for the past century, the post-Christian nations. Well, first they were Christian. They've become post-Christian for the past 30 years or so. Or for the past 50 years. All the nations that used to be Christian have experienced a level of well-being, peace, health, wealth that was absolutely unprecedented in all of human history. And it's because of the kingdom of God. It's because the restoration of creation. It's because this realm of goodness and love and truth has been expanding all over the earth. But then you had these Rothschilds that rose up, and they manipulated entire governments by lending them huge amounts of money for their wars. So they got control over the royal families, and they started buying up all the media. And especially with the rise, with the rise of television, they owned it all right from the beginning, and they started using television to lie to the people, to manipulate everyone, and to push everyone away from the realm of light and goodness and truth, and just introduce perversion and violence and wickedness and witchcraft and bring it all back. And all of humanity was like, oh yeah. And they all stepped away from the realm of the light into the ancient realm of darkness of their forefathers. And you see that suddenly witchcraft is coming back. And all sorts of sorcery and magic are coming back. And child sacrifice in Hollywood and in all the political high circles. It's all coming back. Why? Because they've cast out the kingdom of light. And now, but the promise is, and that's what the Bible says, there will be no end to the increase of his kingdom. There will be no end to the increase of his kingdom. So the promise is that the righteous will inherit the earth. That is the promise. The promise is not that the righteous will leave the earth. And no, the righteous will inherit the earth. Jesus said, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. The earth is of the Lord, and he positioned his sons and daughters to rule and reign. That's the basic 1 + 1 is 2. That is the reason why he created Adam. He said, you are going to have dominion over all the earth. It is the sons of the Most High that are called to bring justice and freedom and righteousness and wholeness to the world. That is the sole purpose of our existence. That is why the earth was created, to be a habitation of heaven, to be a habitation of joy, freedom, life, happiness, safety, and goodness. God did not appoint the wicked to reign on the earth. And this is a major revelation for most of us. God spoke to me a while ago, and he said, David, there are two forces at work in this world. The first force is slavery, enslavement. Enslaving people through every imaginable thing. Through lust, through bad foods. Make them a slave of sugar, make them a slave of bad entertainment, make them a slave of their selfish pride, make them a slave of medicine, make them a slave of sickness, make them a slave of the banks, make them a slave of the government, make them a slave of each other, where they are manipulated by wicked people who control their lives. Make them a slave in every imaginable way, enslaving humanity. And then God said the second reality, the second power, that is me. And I don't enslave people, I raise them up as royal children. I make them kings and queens. I set them free. I heal their emotions so they're emotionally free. I set them free from evil spirits so they're spiritually free. I set them free from deception so their minds are free. I set them free financially so they can flourish in this life. I teach them to eat healthy so they're no slaves of the sugar industry. And all these things, God raises up a royal people who are free in every aspect of their life. So you have the power of slavery and the power of sonship, freedom, royalty. And God said, these are the two forces in this world. And then he spoke to me later and he said, the only reason the wicked are reigning in the world is because the righteous are not. And that shook me. The only reason the wicked, the evil ones are reigning in the world is because the righteous ones aren't reigning. And he said, but I never appointed the wicked to reign. I appointed my children to reign. And so I believe that we are in a time, God is not saying this to me for no reason. He's saying this because he wants to change it. He wants to get this word out so people will realize I'm not a dressed up monkey who came forth through the natural process of evolution, just trial and error, and by accident I got legs, and by accident I got a second ear, and by another accident I got a stomach, and by another accident I suddenly had eyes, and all these accidents, all these mutations brought forth, from a hump of mud, came forth beautiful human beings. And people are supposed to believe that. And then when you say, well, I actually am intelligent, I'm sorry. And I know that no functioning system ever comes into existence by chance. It's always organized, designed by an intelligent source. Oh, you're a religious fanatic. And by this name calling, they oppress intelligent thinking and expect people to believe the nonsense of a bunch of mud growing into a beautiful human being, all by accident and by chance. But there's an awakening coming there where people start realizing we are here for a purpose. We have been destined. We are valuable. We are royal in our nature. We are not just here by accident. And the good people are here to have a pure heart, a circumcised, pure, broken, compassionate heart who cares about people who suffer, who cares about unrighteousness, and who want to do something about it. People who don't bow for wickedness and lust and power, but who say, I don't care about that. I care about happy people. I care about a flourishing nation. I care about a beautiful creation. I care about people who love and hug and dance and rejoice. That's what I want to see. And that's the type of kings and queens that God is raising up in this nation. I'm totally sure of that. The beginning of a whole new breed, a whole new era, where people will know what happens when they bow down to power, lust, and greed. They realize I turn into a demon. I don't want that. Demons destroy. I want to be a king, and a king heals and restores. I'm not going to bow for witchcraft and deception. I'm going to speak truth and bring freedom. So people, I'm saying all this because this is what God told me. The future is glorious. I am restoring my creation. I've been doing it for 2,000 years. I'm going to keep doing it forever because Jesus said, pray this. Father, let your will be done on the earth as it is in heaven. My God, he didn't say, let the will of hell be done on the earth. He said, let the will of God be done on earth as it is in heaven. That means what is in heaven must come down to the earth. That's why we are here. That's why it was initiated, at first. That's the whole reason for everything. To make a habitation of joy, freedom, happiness, and where people are safe, where no one eats each other, where people help one another. So that has been burned into the depths of my being, that this whole doom and gloom doctrine is injected by the Rothschilds to tear down the royal mandate of the church to restore the world. And I have an in-depth teaching about this on my website, godisreal.today. I'll put the link under this video. But, the powers of darkness are attacking this with a viciousness and with a hatred that is totally irrational. Because, I know that there are people now who will say, you're a false prophet, you're a deceiver, you're from Satan, you're the devil, you are the Antichrist. Oh, why? Because the demons inside of them, they don't want humanity to wake up to the reality that we are here for a royal reason. They want us to think that evil is unstoppable. They want us to think there's no hope, there's no use of restoring the world. They want us to have this doom and gloom mindset of an ever diminishing church that has nothing to say while evil takes over everything. And God says, enough of that. Now you're going to rise up and be who I called you to be. Like Christ said, if you obey me, then you will sit on the throne with me and reign with me. So we are a royal nation, a royal people, children of the Most High, created to restore the world.